Hello everybody and welcome back. This is John with Glass Piece Games and you are watching another installment of my Factorio Space Age series, and right off the bat I'm going to be tearing down our production real quick. It's not that I didn't like it. It was a good starter production, but it just got me some of the materials that I was going to need for maybe advancing it. But the one thing I'm going to do before I tear down this particular section here, I'm going to kind of edit it just a little bit and then copy this design. I'm going to put that into my hotbar because it is going to be something I'm going to use quite a lot. I'm going to definitely need this design for multiple different segments of my base. And the thing I want to do right off the bat is get another iron smelter. It seems maybe like a little bit early that I'm doing that, but I want to go ahead and have 2 iron smelter arrays, if not maybe 3. I haven't done 3 yet, but I plan to do a 3rd pretty soon, as the time of recording this part of the commentary. It's like last episode, just a heads up, but I am going to be actually covering a good bit more. This episode is going to be pretty eventful. As you can see, I got quite a number of assembly machines right here. I'm going to tear that down. They're all iron gear wheels, and I really only need 1 or 2. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make 1 automation science a second. So that first red science pack that we had originally, that red science automation science, you'll be able to see I I kind of skipped a lot of stuff, but essentially I put 10 up there. So that will get us 1 automation science a second. We only need 1 gear, but just so I have a little bit of overhead, I added another gear because we make 1 gear a second. So 1 gear a second to 1 automation science a second. We just want 2 just to have that extra if we need it. But if we don't, then we don't. I'm making the new smelter array here. And I realized that in order to put 1 in between my copper smelter array, and I'd have to move that over literally one block or one unit, and that made me so frustrated. So here's something: when you're building, this is just a lesson to whenever you're building something, make sure if you want to put something in between there, or copy it in between that and another, make sure you have enough room, and don't build it yet until you know, because then you're going to have to tear it down like I am. It's not that difficult of a process, it's just tedious, and you have to deal with that inventory issue like I mentioned last episode. Now here you can see it's literally just neck and neck. They're all right next to each other. But something to note is I am absolutely going to need that second iron smelter array. If you think that I'm going overboard with it, trust me, I am not. You're going to need a lot of iron for everything. Every single thing requires pretty much iron. Not everything necessarily requires copper. And the way I put these little segments together is I like to wait until the very end to join up the lines of resources, because what I like to see is like it just essentially everything's ready, and as soon as I hook up the lines it just starts going. And you may see that here in a minute. You saw that with the copper smelter array. It's not necessarily needed, but it is something that is definitely a joy to watch unfold, and you'll probably see it here in a minute. Now, what I need all this iron for is for 2 things. One is a little bit of a mall to start off with that I'm going to combine into this episode as well, and my logistics science pack production. Now, if you look, I need to get some more raw iron if I want to smelt more iron. You can't have one without the other. So, I'm going to go ahead and fill up this entire patch here of miner drills, and so now I should start really racking in the iron. But not only that, but I am going to need that little blueprint that I copied earlier. I'm going to go ahead and paste it here. And the reason I'm having my own circuit line instead of making just a whole mass amount of circuits is I'd rather know that I have a line of circuits just specifically for my logistics science packs. Really, I only need 1 circuit per second, so I could technically go with 1, but that's just that's the proper ratio right there. 3 copper wires to 2 electric circuits. So I have a little bit of overflow, which is fine. It's always fine to have a little bit of overflow. But as you can see, I have an assembly machine set up here where I am going to be having iron gear wheels fed directly into belts and inserters. And the ratio should still be 1 a second. which is exactly what I want to do. I want to have 12 assemblers for the logistics science packs, because the logistics science pack the player can craft in 6 seconds, and basically, like I said, the assemblers will double it, so you need 12. So 12 will create 1 logistics science pack a second, which is nice. We have 1 science per second no matter what. And as you can see, there's a line we're starting to fill up. You saw some trees I chopped down earlier. They're kind of decaying. Those are trees that essentially were had consumed a lot of the pollution that I've been providing the environment so nicely. By the way, I'm very kind. But I've been looking at the map, just checking it. I'm still not running into enemies, but I have myself my laboratory array now, and everything's ready to start researching. I'm just going to fill it up real quick, and then as soon as it's filled up, I'm going to be able to more or less just get everything started. But once you have everything ready, you can go ahead and pretty much enqueue as much research as you can, because now your line of production may fluctuate. It may go up and down a little bit, but for the most part, it should stay good. You shouldn't run out of resources. You shouldn't run out of science packs. And so what I've done is I started researching basically an expansion of my electrical network. And yeah, so this is about as far as I've edited in the video so far, but this is where this video ends, and the next one will come in, and I'll edit that one. But I'm going to start building a mall. So I'm going to put the mic down, and then I'll be back. What will be a second for you will probably be about a couple hours for me. Probably not that long, but yeah. Be right back. And I am back. Basically, I had to edit all this, and I'm trying to condense it down into just one quick little bit. I'll go ahead and just explain everything. This is not a great mall. I would not recommend doing or making this mall setup. It's not a terrible mall. It works technically, but this will show you the pitfalls of trying to just sort of eyeball stuff and wing it as you go. Yeah, so essentially what I got going on here is I have this belt that I'm trying to make work, but as you can see, that didn't work. So I had to do an underground belt for that belt to remain straight. The problem with that is only half the iron will go to that underground belt. Like, if you want more iron to go to that underground belt, yeah, it just doesn't. And as you can see, what ends up happening here is you end up with like a little bit of a bottleneck. It's really not ideal. You don't want the scenario that you got going on right here. So what I'm doing is I am going to be researching some technologies while I kind of finagle around, figure out that, okay, what I'm doing isn't working. It's only when I look back at this footage, I look at it and I think, oh God, what? No, that's duh. Like, you get tunnel vision when playing, and then you get almost too much, like you just see everything when you're editing. And so like trying to point everything out in the editing process, I'd rather just do the commentary and find out like throughout, like reviewing the footage, okay, this is what I need to do, or being able to find out before the end of the episode, oh, whoops, I messed up on this. Now there's sometimes you'll see that, but the main thing I'd get done with this mall essentially are inserters and fast transport belts, and the inserters were actually pretty easy. I actually got a pretty good amount of them before the end of the episode, and these iron chests, so a decent bit, in fact pretty much almost a full wooden chest of them. Maybe not long arm inserters. I can't remember which one was a little bit behind, but it wasn't by much. But really what blew me away was just how much more iron the fast transport belts consume. If you look at a fast transport underground belt, I believe that takes about 100, just a little bit short of 100 iron. That is incredible. Like, it takes about 100 iron to just have an underground transport belt. Fast transport belt, that is. Whew. Hopefully that didn't pick the microphone or didn't clip, but I don't think it did. It didn't look like it did in the audio. But that is a lot. So take that in consideration. You may want to limit the amount of fast underground belts that you make, especially early in production. If you have enough iron to produce just a whole bunch of them, go at it. But it took me a while to figure that out. Speaking of which, in this episode, at least you may get to see a couple times, I'll go back and revise stuff. I'll put stuff here, like especially with splitters. I am still very new to trying to figure out the best way to use splitters and how to evenly distribute stuff and not miss out on maximizing how that distributes. But if you look at that iron, that is sad. The amount of iron that is going into this whole line. I mean, the idea that I'm using this line from the circuits as well is kind of bad, because iron is going to be getting taken from that line before I can even use it. I really hope that this next episode I kind of fix some of these things. They're easy things to fix. I just kind of neglected them. But if you even look at the production, I am using 18,000 iron, I think a minute or hour, where I'm only producing 16,000. I need to produce more. Ultimately, like, the problem is I need to produce more. Now, some of this is because I'm bottlenecking. I have a bottleneck on this side. If I wasn't bottlenecking there, I'd probably be able to actually produce even a decent bit more of iron. I actually never go back and check, unfortunately. What I'll do in this next episode is I'll see if using both lines actually kind of helps produce more. The only thing is, you can produce more iron, but if you don't allocate your resources properly, you'll still run into starvation, or just you don't have enough of it going here, enough of it going there, and you just run into that whole big issue. I tried doing something here and I realized, oh good lord, editing this, yeah, no, that looks like it works. The coal is eventually going to get kind of overran with iron, and you're just going to have iron. Now, if you have electric furnaces, that's fine. In fact, I want to get to electric furnaces as quick as I can, because those can be pretty beneficial. But with that being said, this is my mall. It's not great. It's not as good as I was wanting it to be, but it's better than it was before. I'm producing definitely more, and it's a little bit more spread out. It's still not as spread out as I wanted it to be, but you saw me looking at the map. I'm looking at the iron because I'm like, okay, how much am I using? How much longer do I have? Because I feel like I'm going to run out with that initial patch, and the closest patch isn't actually too far. With that being said, that's going to probably do it for this episode. Next episode, I think I'm going to add two. I'm not even kidding. I think I'm going to add 2 more iron smelter arrays. I'd rather just have that line of production ready for iron, if not maybe 3, because I'm going to need 1 for steel. I need steel. I'm researching a lot of stuff that's using steel. So I'll see y'all next time. This is John with Glasspiece Games. I'm tired. I want to get the next episode started so I can fix all these problems. See y'all next time.